Cantabrigian A, Thames Rowing Club B.
Thames Rowing Club, certainly a perennial powerhouse of women's sweep rowing. I know when I first came out of the junior system, they were the base for the women's Great Britain women's sweep team before Caversham existed, and there was a centralised programme. This looks like it's Thames B crew, and actually it's Cantabrigian here with a substantial lead coming away from the end of the island and down towards our commentary box.
Yeah, and Cantabrigian have a very healthy lead, and we're halfway down the meadow, so about quarter away into this race, and they've already established a lead of a couple of lengths.
Unusual to see a Thames Rowing Club 8 with this kind of deficit. But a very solid performance from that Cantabrigian crew as they move past the barrier and towards the enclosures. I think this Thames Rowing Club crew might have had a problem with their cocks, actually, and I believe I heard them talking about the fact that one of their coaches was going to have to be coxing them, which can be helpful, I think, to get a coach, get in the boat and see what's going on, but perhaps it hasn't been quite enough to make a difference in this case.
Yeah, we've just been told here that Henley Women's Regatta is only the second race that this crew have actually done together as a full unit. And certainly a fair bit of pedigree in this crew, which is proving to be spot on, as they have a really, really good lead at the moment over Thames Rowing Club B.
Some of them won this event last year. It's unbelievable athletes in this. Yeah, some of these girls won this event.
Yeah, and some of the girls in this 8 won here last year, but not only did they win, they won in a record time.
Looks like we've had Agecroft Rowing Club off the start there without a competitor. I think that was a quirk of the draw, is my understanding. This Agecroft crew, another strong competitor in this event. I know that the Cox, Marianne Vanier, has had a very busy couple of weeks. She was a national champion in the French championships in the women's 8 just a couple of weeks ago, coxing the crew from Grenoble. Excuse my French. It looks like Agecroft just getting a chance here to have a little practice start, and we'll see how they go down the course now. I imagine in a fairly relaxed fashion without any competition.
Well, the draw sees them compete against the winners of Cantabrigian and Thames Rowing Club B. At the moment, it looks very much as if that's going to be Cantabrigian. That race, 116, scheduled for tomorrow. Next up, we have Curlew City of Bristol, and the winner of that will be up against the winners of the next race, Thames Rowing Club A and Oriel Kensington. So we are at just about 15:52, and the regatta running just about 15 minutes late. That was as a result of a really decent crash earlier on the Coxless Fours, where one of the boats lost both of its blades, and it took a little while to get that removed from the course. Agecroft just paddling down. Zoe, I think you ought to commentate on that.
On the Agecroft crew.
Yes.
Not surprisingly, they seem to now be having a rather relaxed time of it and taking it easy. Another great opportunity to get out and test yourself over the course, but unfortunately, it is difficult without competitors. And you hope that they have a race tomorrow where that's not detrimental to them. Where actually, they haven't lost out from not having a competitor to race against in this first round.
So very often a crew will treat a row over as a bit of a practice. Will they do a practice start, for example?
Well, it looks like that crew put in quite a quick start and now are actually doing another burst. So it looks like they have had a plan to say, okay, well, we'll go off the start hard, then we'll take it down for a bit, we'll put in another burst. They're using this as a practice row, which is the sensible thing to do. There's no point in rowing over at 100% because that's a waste of energy for tomorrow. But likewise, there's no point paddling over. You've got to get the opportunities, and the day before you race, you'd still want to be doing some bursts and some starts. So this looks like they've come up with a very solid plan. Having done a burst, they're now having a bit of a relax, and I imagine as they go up towards the finish, maybe another burst from them or a little practice sprint to the line.
So this is Henley Women's Regatta, and we are following Agecroft, who have a row over here, a quirk of the draw, as Zoe put it, meaning that they get what is literally a bye through to the next round. They'll be up against Canterbrigian, who won the previous race. Next up is Curlew City of Bristol, and after that we have Thames Rowing Club A and Oriel Kensington. I think everything on the website is now working, and you're able to get the results of the earlier races. Sat patiently on the start, we have Curlew and City of Bristol Rowing Club C. I saw Curlew earlier actually doing their time trial, being followed by some very enthusiastic vocal supporters, and they've certainly ripped off the start here, Zoe, as they get towards the bottom of the island.
Really impressive start from them there. Again, so many crews today. We're seeing really aggressive, really punchy starts. Exactly what you want to be doing in this side-by-side racing, putting themselves out there early, establishing a lead, really dominating this racing. Curlew looking to have maybe a length there over City of Bristol as they come off the end of the island. Really good start from them.
So what would a normal plan there be in terms of a rate? What would you expect?
Well, there's a lot of variety between what crews do. I think usually in an eights race, you'd be looking to come off the start somewhere in the mid-40s and then settle down into the mid-30s. But a lot of different crews do different things. We saw a couple of weeks ago at the World Cup, a Romanian crew in the men's eights who no one had expected to see near the front of the race, just holding on, rating 4, 5, 6 pips higher than everyone else. So actually, it depends how you train. It depends what kind of crew you are. I think the traditional look is that a smaller, more lightweight crew would rate higher, and a stronger heavyweight crew would have a lower rate, with more power. But definitely, down a lot of it would be down to the coaches and how experienced the crews are and what suits them best.
Well, their start certainly hasn't done them any harm at all. They are couple of lengths now ahead. Curlew Rowing Club on the Berkshire station, nearest to us. No stream really to talk of. Not that we're allowed to talk about it anyway, but there's never any stream at Henley Royal by all accounts. Anyway, move on. The 8 here, about halfway down the course, and they have a lead of 3 lengths. And I'll just stop Zoe laughing.
Very strong lead from this Curlew crew. I don't see much changing in this race unless incident befalls them. Clean style of rowing, aggressive racing. Surprised to see them still at this higher rate with this kind of lead. But again, part of the race plan. Could be that they're, taking a little bit of the pressure off. Actually, they have started to relax, as I've said that. But, just as much to take the pressure off and keep the rate high. That's a perfectly good way of getting yourself over the course a few lengths ahead.
Well, we know that Canterbridgian will have Agecroft tomorrow, and Curlew will be up against the winners of the next race to come down the track, which is Thames Rowing Club A and Oriel Kensington. And we've got Curlew now coming up towards the finish. Last 15 or so strokes, and a very comfortable win for them. Sees them progress through to tomorrow. Waiting down at the start, Thames Rowing Club A and Oriel Kensington. And the umpire launch just about to get into position. And Zoe's just pointed out to me that we have a graphic making an appearance at the regatta for the first time. Crew number 40, is that? Thames Rowing Club A. Crew number 39, Oriel Kensington. That is a very, very pretty scene, isn't it? And they burst off the start. Thames at the bottom of your picture, Oriel Kensington at the top.
Thames crew looking much more confident in the pattern off as they go off the start there. Another set of tideway neighbours here. And the race has stopped.
There's something wrong with steering.
Looks like something not right with the steering there. And you could see the Oriel Kensington Cox waving her hands. So we'll wait to hear what will happen next in that race there.
Happened to you, Zoe?
Never been in a race that stopped at Henley Royal or Henley Women's, to my recollection. May have blanked it from my memory, as I've done with many things.
So you could have a problem with a rudder or a cable snap, or
I've had a cable snap in a head race before, which was quite an interesting experience. And in the end, we were at a head race, I think it was Reading, and actually I decided it was too dangerous to try and carry on racing. There are some narrow parts to the course, and I didn't want to be responsible for holding up crews that, you know, were behind me if I couldn't steer properly and crashed into something. So I ended up pulling over to one side and calling it a day. But it looks like these crews have now been told to back down onto the start to go again. So I wonder if the umpire feels here that both crews just got too close together off the start. So no one crew to blame, but wants to give both crews another chance to get off the start there. Quite a long way to back down though. So it might take a little while before these crews get confident and comfortable back on the start to start this race again.
yeah, if he lets them paddle on and if you like do a U-turn, they've got to go beyond the barrier before there's a decent enough gap to turn an 8 round. So in order not to delay the regatta too much, I suppose that's the decision. Back down, get back on the start, and we will go again for race number 47.
So this is the last batch in the heats of Aspirational Club 8s for today, and we'll have 4 races from the Championships singles coming up after this. Hopefully we'll see this 8s race underway again any minute.
The last time you and I chatted, she's thinking, oh my God, don't remind me, was in Rio
That was quite some time ago.
at the after party.
Oh, no.
Was it not?
I don't remember.
I do.
Which might be indicative of my state of mind at the time.
Well, we were in GB House and you were, as usual, very charming and relaxed.
Well, you'd had a good day, certainly.
Had a very good day.
Yep.
Yeah. Crikey, that is a few years ago now, isn't it? There we go. This is the restart then. Thames Rowing Club A. Nearest to us, just getting to themselves straight again. And just to the right of the picture, you can't see it here, there's an aligner that sits in a hut with his flag out, and he makes sure that both these crews are exactly level, and then it's the umpire's job to make sure they're straight. There's an extremely sensitive microphone down there, so the umpire's instructions are heard clearly. And we go again. Okay, and they are off.
So again, a slightly more confident start from the ladies in the Thames crew. So we hope to see both crews staying a comfortable distance apart now as we come down. And actually, you can see AK being warned there. AK being warned again. I imagine no love lost here between these tideway neighbours. You can see the AK Cox taking her hand off the rudder, so I don't know if there's a problem there with the boat. But again, those blades looking quite close. And actually now just the crews separating and going back to their stations.
It didn't look as if they had a great deal of room there. Is that because they both sort of moved into the centre of it?
I think so, and I think perhaps less so on the restart, which is how they got away more cleanly. But did look certainly like both crews came quite a long way into the centre, and you can see again the Thames crew moving away from the booms and coming over into the path of the trailing crew from Oriel Kensington.
And we saw a previous race, didn't we, where the umpire warned a crew who did seem to be a fair distance ahead to get back on their station. So
yeah, Thames now look to be back over at their station. I don't know whether this is a decision they're making on purpose to try and get in front of that crew and give them put a bit of pressure on them, or whether that's just a little bit of inattention on the part of the Cox. It certainly can be a tactic of sorts to move in front of your opposition and give them some wash. But I mean, for me, especially when you seem to be much the faster crew, seems to be a little bit unnecessary, not just because it's not very sportsmanlike, but also because it could cause problems for your crew that you would be much of a risk when you seem to be substantially faster than your opposition. Although now it seems to be AK coming more into the middle and Thames staying more to their side as they move down towards the enclosures.
And the winner of this race, as we said earlier, will come up against Curlew tomorrow. Curlew looked very, very fast off the start, not really put under a huge amount of pressure at the finish. And Thames here, well, they have a decent lead heading down towards the halfway mark.
Yeah, these are strong-looking women. They look confident in their rowing stroke, comfortable in the pattern that they're rowing. It's a commanding lead now that Thames Rowing Club have over AK.
And it's now the